Hello to you watching. Thank you for clicking play. This is Volunteer Voices, where we take a few minutes to hear from valued volunteers in our community. Volunteers like Eric and Sean with THOR, and hear about their work as the backbone of our community. And I'm excited to hear about their experiences, and maybe one of you will join in giving your time too. Eric, I'll kick it off with you. Can you tell me a little bit about, first off, what THOR stands for and the work that you do as a volunteer?
Well, THOR stands for Trails Have Our Respect. It's a group where we work on natural surface trails in southeast Nebraska and western Iowa. And we basically work on mountain bike trails and hiking trails, walking trails. And a lot of what I do is related to the mountain bike community. I love digging in the dirt and just making places for people to go ride their bikes, basically. And there's a huge group of us that love to do that. And I think Sean can attest to that too. So.
Most definitely.
Absolutely. Sean, tell me a little bit about your work as a volunteer with THOR.
Well, yeah, I've been a part of THOR for a lot of years. Kind of come and for a while there with young kids, I kind of stepped away a little bit or wasn't heavily involved. But in the last probably 5 or 6 years, have gotten more involved with a handful of different parks or areas here with THOR. Mainly at Platte River State Park or even Ponca State Park, a little bit at Branched Oak. But as like Eric said, I just enjoy getting out there in the dirt, making trails, and trails that I know that are going to be used. Again, primarily I do a lot of mountain biking, but primarily going to be used for mountain biking, hiking. Families are out there. I just like being able to be part of that and knowing that me swinging a shovel or a tool in the dirt leaves something for other people to do out there. So
I love that. Can you tell me about, is there like a favorite memory that's coming to mind as you're reflecting on your past few years?
Sure. I would say, gosh, there's a lot of, I guess, memories or a lot of things we do. I would say, so I've been part of a group the last few years that goes up to Ponca State Park, which is in northeastern Nebraska, right on the Missouri River, overlooks Iowa and South Dakota, and is in Nebraska. It's a great park, somewhat secluded. But what's nice about that is we do it in like a 3-day weekend trip. We usually do it twice a year. And what's great about it is we build trails all day long, try and sneak out for a quick ride at the end of the day, but usually we're pretty exhausted and it's a short ride. But more so than we were able to hang out with these same like-minded guys at night and, usually, have some food, maybe a drink or two or play some games. But, just the camaraderie we have on these trips, it makes some great memories with some like-minded guys. And then in turn, again, we're making some trails for all to use. So that's been and that picture there is from about just over a year ago. That was a Friday, and there was only 5 of us there that day. More people came the next day on a Saturday, but it snowed overnight. It was I think it was 18 degrees but windy, but luckily at Ponca and even at Platte, we're in the trees, we're shielded. We worked all day that day, didn't ride at all, and it was, if you went up in the parking lot, it was extremely cold. But when we're working and we stayed warm all day down in the trees, and in the end, it was a great day. So those are the memories I have. In addition to, like I said, just leaving a footprint of all of THOR's work in the trails that are left behind there. So.
That's great. I loved seeing all the photos that you sent. I could see just not only the memories that you were making during your volunteer time, but also imagine the memories that you're making for people who are going to reap the benefits of the work that you're doing on the trails. Eric, tell me, is there things that pop into mind as you're thinking about your past few years with THOR?
Oh my gosh, I've had so much fun. I've been into bikes my entire life, and I recently discovered the mountain biking opportunities that actually exist in southeast Nebraska, probably in 2016 or so. And I fell in love with it all over again. And I've always loved digging, and I've always loved riding just as much. Like, if I went out and rode bikes all day, I'd be happy. If I went out and dug holes and built trails and built jumps and did stuff like that all day long, I would be just as happy. And I just love it. I've had so many fun memories digging and meeting people in THOR, especially the last 2 years specifically. Once COVID kind of hit, it brought people outside, and so many people picked up bikes and put down video game controllers, and they got their hands dirty. And I met so many awesome people. It's been such a blast. Like, we were talking about good memories specifically. This past summer was one of the craziest digging years ever. I mean, everybody grabbed shovels, pickaxes. People were building trails all over the place, and it's so fun. And we had a day where we were out digging at Platte River State Park this summer, and there had to have been like 50 people out there.
Wow.
We put in some serious miles one weekend, just digging and making awesome trails. And it's so fun because we're doing something that, like, is not just for us. I mean, obviously we're going to reap the benefits of it, but we're building something that anybody can come out and learn how to ride bikes on and get enjoyment being out in the woods. And it's fantastic. I just love it so much.
And every shovel swing that you're putting in, every act of volunteerism, you're seeing exactly what you're doing and what you're building. It's really rewarding type of volunteerism.
You definitely get that instant gratification. It's like you're out there digging, you're putting in your sweat equity. And then by the end of the day, you're like, wow, we just built all of this. This is so cool. And it's like a team effort. And then when you're done, you get to reap the benefits. You get to go out and ride it, and you get to feel like how it feels on the bike. And like, if you did something that's not very good, and everybody's like, yeah, that wasn't very good, let's go fix it. And you can do that because it's dirt, and you can manipulate it and you can tweak it, and it's always a work in progress, and it's super fun. I haven't met too many people that once they're actually out in the dirt digging, that they're like, man, I don't like digging. This is boring. Like, people, once they pick up a shovel and they do it, they get hooked and they love it. So,
well, I hope some people watching, whether they've picked up a shovel in the last year or two or not, take the opportunity to join in, give it a test run. Sean, what would you say to people that are thinking about joining you guys for a volunteer outing?
Well, I'd say do it. We, like Eric said, it is definitely gratifying for ourselves, but I would just tell people, it's that instant gratification and seeing the work you're doing, but also being able to come back months later and see the additional work that's done, but also just take advantage of the work you've done is so awesome. And there are, like Eric said, there are just so many great people involved that you just build this friendship amongst so many different people. And and I will say also that we have so many different types of trails now that Eric does build a lot more, is involved in some of the bigger, some of the features that we do, not completely, but then, I do a lot of just the, I guess I call them standard trails, not as feature written, but there are so many opportunities to do it. And again, I would just say, get involved, look at the THOR website or your website here and reach out to, myself, Eric, or more so, there's other administrators within THOR to see when those volunteer days are, because there's so many parks too that they can get involved in. It's not just the ones we've talked about. Omaha has so many and getting more. And it's just a growing sport. So the opportunities will continue to grow, and we'll need the help. So,
well, perfect. Let's pop over to take a look at what this looks like. If you go to shareomaha.org, you can see the THOR profile. Click into their volunteer opportunities. You see that, yes, there are many opportunities to swing shovels. But if you are interested in other things such as grant writing or graphic design, or just simply want to get connected with THOR a little further, click I'm interested and share your information. This is a good opportunity to get connected, have a conversation with these wonderful gentlemen, and you never know where it goes. Thank you for tuning in to Volunteer Voices, and we hope that you get connected to a volunteer activity that is just your perfect fit.